Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas. This is how to make an RPG in Unity, and welcome to episode 16. So this time we're going to look at some NPCs, we're going to look at some UI in text boxes, and we're also going to start looking at some simple AI. So let's start with our NPC. So we're going to go to the Unity Asset Store, and you can either do that by holding Control and pressing 9, or you can go to Window and then click on Asset Store. Now, the Asset Store is a fantastic place to visit where you can find all kinds of things for your game, whether it's free or paid. And I really do recommend having a look around to see what you can find here in the Asset Store. So because we're looking for a model of any person, we're going to go to 3D models up here, and we're going to go to characters because it's an NPC. And I'm going to click on free only for now because I'm only looking for free assets. But if you find something that you're prepared to spend just a couple of dollars on, by all means, please feel free to. There's no restrictions on that. So I've already gone ahead and had a quick look, and I have chosen this one called Red Samurai. Now, obviously, all credit at this point goes to Su-Chen Ki, the creator of this asset. And if at any point you feel like looking at any person's asset, you can go on there and have a quick look. So to download it, you would need to be logged in. So make sure you have an account, you're logged in, all great. And then you can click on import or download here, and it will bring it into your asset window down here. Now I've already gone ahead and I've downloaded it to save a little bit of time. So I'm going to close the asset store now by right clicking on the tab and clicking on close tab. So I want to bring the NPC over here into our little town area. So to do that, I'm going to just recap a couple of little things and make an area here. So I'm going to click on the terrain, click on the paint details right there, hold down shift and just clear a little bit of an area, and maybe just paint this bit right there. So let's reduce the brush size and just paint there. So I'm going to put my NPC right here. So in my character pack, we'll find this little model here, and it's just a case of dragging and dropping onto the scene. Let's rotate them around so we can actually see them facing this way. So let's rotate on the Y all the way around. Now you'll notice that by default, especially if you're using this one, there is a couple of preset animations already in. Now this is theoretically a little bit of AI working there, because when it stood still, it's playing its default animation, which is idling, which is fine. Now the model is a little bit small, so I'm going to increase the size. 1.7, 1.7, 1.7. Now that looks a little bit bigger. So I'm going to press play and take a look at my NPC. So we can see here it's going through its idle animation, which is all good. However, we can kind of walk through our NPC right now. So what we're going to do is let's encase this NPC in a box, which will allow us to actually interact with it. So on the actual NPC itself, right click, 3D object, and cube. So I'm going to bring this cube up, and I'm going to encase our entire NPC in it. So I want to extend the scale on the Y upwards to cover. Now I'm not going to worry too much about the sword for now, because that's not my biggest concern. So I'm going to uncouple the cube from our NPC, right click and rename, and just call it NPC001. And then I'm going to bring my actual NPC into that object and then turn off the mesh renderer in the cube. So now we should be able to go up to our NPC and not actually walk through them. So that's all good so far. Now, what I'd like to do is interact with this NPC. So when we speak to them, text box comes up. So let's design a text box. So game object, then let's go to UI, and I think we will start with, what should we start with? We'll either start with text or we'll start with a panel. Let's go with panel first. So now let's bring it into position. So I've double clicked on the panel to bring it out to here. And I'm going to right click, rename, and call it text box. I think I'm going to have the color as a nice blue color. And let's see, I'm going to have it full alpha. I don't want to be able to see through it at all. So now let's reduce the size, and I always want it to appear down the bottom stretch. So I'm going to anchor down here, and then I'm going to 0 and 0, and I'm going to actually create the height by typing in maybe 50, and then I'm going to use this tool just to kind of bring it inwards like so, align it into the middle, which is about there, bring it so as it kind of fits quite nicely about there, and then that'll do. So if we press play, we should be able to see our text box appears just fine. So now let's center it again about there. Perfect. So within this text box, what we want is to have our text. And you'll notice at the moment though, with this panel, there's nothing much to it. It's just kind of blue and whatever. But don't forget, you could attach a material to it if you so wanted. We will deal with that at a later date, but you don't need to worry for it at this present moment. So within Textbox, let's right click and then let's click on UI and text. Now I'm going to have two text boxes in here because over here I would like the name of our character, but later on we're also going to have a little picture of our character here as well. So that's something to focus on probably next couple of episodes. So I'm going to have this just with spiky brackets and put name. This is within the text itself, and I'm going to color it white. And let's see, font size, let's have as 20. And let's position it on the anchor on the top left, and let's bring it to maybe about there. And then I'm going to hold control, press D on the text, and then the original one I'm going to right click, rename, and call it text name. And then this one that we've duplicated, I'm going to bring it down, extend the actual text box itself to about there, and change the font to about 18. And I'm going to put in here in spiky brackets, I'm just going to put text insertion. So we're going to change this as we go through anyway, so it's not a big deal right now. I might actually bold that one, I think. So let's go on font style, bold, and right click on text one, and let's rename this to main text. And lastly, I'm going to put a raw image just here. So text box and UI and raw image. Let's bring it to about there. And it looks like we can probably move this text over a little bit. So we'll do just that. And I'm going to rename that raw image. And let's call it NPC face. Now, there is something clever we can do with this, but I'm not going to do it in this tutorial, and it'll be in the next one when we've got a little bit more time to work with this. But it'd be kind of cool to see what will happen. So we've got our text box, our text area, everything set up now. So what we want to happen is when we speak to our NPC over here, we want our text to appear. So let's get rid of our text box for now. We don't need it on screen right now. So let's go to our scripts folder. So down here it is. Now the idea of what we're going to be doing here is very similar to our quest. And if you remember, we open up quest, I think it's quest 01 take, I believe. So I'm going to open up quest 01 take, and we'll take a quick look, a quick backtrack at what we've previously written once it loads in MonoDevelop or Visual Studio. So the idea here is we're going to use on mouse over again, because we're going to use the action button when we float over our actual NPC. And we can pretty much use a lot of this script as it is. So what we'll do is let's create a new script folder. So create folder, and we'll call this NPC interactions. And in here, let's right click, rename, create C# script, and we'll call this NPC001. So this red samurai, as it's called, is going to be our NPC001. And I'll tell you what, let me close some of these scripts because there's quite a lot open, isn't there? Okay, so if we go to our quest 001 take, what we can do is we can literally copy our entire script here. In fact, no, we shouldn't. We should just do it inside the public class. I should mention here that make sure if you do copy scripts, try not to use the public class, because remember, the public class name needs to be the same as the script name. So let's copy all of the script that is within the public class. So we can copy that script and get rid of void update and void start on our NPC script, and let's paste in there. So now let's work through our variables here. So we need the distance because we need to tell how far away we are from our NPC. We don't need, we do need action display, and we do need action text. We don't need UI quest though, so that can be deleted out. We do need the player, and we don't need notice cam, so let's get rid of that. So obviously there are going to be other things that we do need to assess in this, and we need the text box and everything within the text box. So let's go public game object text box. Next, public game object, and we'll have NPC name. Next, public game object, and we'll have NPC text, so whatever the NPC is saying. And we don't really need to reference the actual picture because, like I say, that's something we can work on at a little later date. So as it stands now, we've got all our variables, and we're checking our player casting script, which is fine. So when our mouse passes over and our distance is less than 3 of whatever this script will be attached to, which will be our NPC, then we stop the sword from attacking, and we also display the talk button. But what we'll do is we'll add in using Unity engine.UI, because we're going to be dealing with these UI elements in a bit more detail than we did with the quest take. So if you remember, the action text actually says read notice. We need to change that if our action text is going to be over. So what we'll do is action text.get component, and remember this is inside if the distance is less than or equal to 3, text in spiky brackets open close bracket dot text equals, and let's say our action text is going to read just talk semicolon. And next thing we need to do is, as we go down here, I should say, yes, our action display is on. Our action text then comes on, which will say talk because we've already set that. If we press our action button, which is the E key, then we need to set mode 2, the block sword, lock the cursor, lock everything else. And after this, action display set active is false. Action text set active false, but we need to get rid of this UI quest and this notice cam because we don't really need them right now. And we're going to, let's say, the player set active false, because we're going to do this in an iEnumerator, which is a coroutine. So beneath void on mouse exit, we need to go iEnumerator, and let's call this NPC 001 active, open close bracket, open curly bracket, go down a few lines and close curly bracket. At this point, we can do start coroutine, and in brackets, we put NPC 001 active, open close bracket, semicolon. So now we're starting this coroutine here. And this coroutine is going to be like a sequence of events. So what we do is we do the text box on screen. So text box, dot set active true. And then we set the others active as well. So NPC name dot set active true, and then NPC text dot get component. In fact, we should probably actually set the name of our NPC before we set that active. So let's do NPC name dot get component text open close bracket dot text equals, let's call our NPC Let's think of a good name. I tell you what, I'm just going to put warrior. So if you can think of a good name that we can change this to in the next episode, put it in the comments. And then we set the name active, and then we'll do the NPC text to say something like, hello, can't spell friend. Hello friend, I may have a quest for you if you wish to accept it. Please come back later on this afternoon. So what I intend to do with this NPC is create a time point. So when we speak to the NPC and tells us to come back, then we can go off doing other things and then come back later to accept the quest. So after we've changed the text, what we do is set it active. So NPC text.set active true, semicolon, and then we're going to wait. So yield return new wait for seconds, and let's wait for 5.5 seconds. So 5.5f. After this point, what we need to do is turn everything off. Now, theoretically, I don't think we need to turn on the NPC name and text. However, it may be wise to, just in case. So what I'm going to do here on the text name and main text is actually turn them off as well, because there are points when we may want the text box just to be on its own with no text in there. It does happen. We may want it to happen, so we need to control every little aspect. So after 5.5 seconds, we need to reverse everything that has happened previously, and we're going to want to firstly turn everything off and turn our player on. So NPC name dot set active false, NPC text dot set active false, Textbox dot set active false, and also, in fact, I don't think I'll turn the player off there. I'm actually going to double line that one out so we don't actually turn the player off, just in case. So once that has happened, what we can do is then also set action display and action text back on, so we can copy them and paste them there. Now hopefully, I'm not entirely sure if this will work for first time, but this is where trial and error comes in. So now we have, okay, so that's saying, so it doesn't like something there. We've got to put the equal sign there, my fault. So let's resave that and head back to Unity, double click on our NPC, and then let's attach our NPC script to it. Now we just have to set those all important variables. So action character, action text, the player. Although we're not going to use the player within the script, I'm still going to set it because we may come back to it. Text box, NPC name, which is text name, and main text. And I'm going to save my scene there and press play. So now let's go try and talk to our NPC. Okay, perfect. There we go. So our text box has appeared. Perfect. So there are going to be a few little bugs here and there with that text, but it's something that we can come back to because we've got the basics of it working, and it's something to work towards. And we can always come back and modify and change as we need to. Now, I did also say at the beginning of this that we're going to work a little bit with AI, sorry, not UI. And what I think we're going to do is take a look at our spider. So let's go to our spider over here. And what I'm going to do, just for some very initial AI, is to basically get them to just look at us. So wherever we kind of are, the spider's going to look at us. And obviously in the next episode, we'll really build upon that script. So scripts and create a new folder. I will call this AI scripts. And in here, right click, create C# script, and let's have this as Spider AI. Now this isn't going to be too complicated, it's just going to be something very simple for now, and as I say, we build upon it. We can get rid of void start, we don't need that, and any notes because there's no use of them right now. And the only variable we're going to set is the player. So public game object the player semicolon, and the simple one we're going to use is just a transform to look at the player. So transform in lowercase dot look at, and that's capital L capital A, and in brackets the player dot transform semicolon and save. So the idea of what's happening here is the spider is looking at whatever the transform position is of the player, and it's going to do that the whole time, but we can always work around it, so don't worry about that. We just need to attach our script to the spider enemy, and then as the variable set the player, which is right there. So now let's press play, and let's head all the way over here to our spider, and hopefully already we can see that the spider is looking at us wherever we are. There we go. So that's the beginnings of some AI. So next episode, what I hope to do is carry on with this AI. We're going to carry on as well with that NPC interaction and see where we go from there. So guys, until that next episode, thank you very much for watching.